So if you are Jesse, I think you're very happy that Roland got round one. And I say that because part of his disruption suite is Thoughtseize, and that's what you want to be playing against when you are a Veil of Summer deck.
That's, you know what? You might be right. I was looking at it the other way, where I was like, oh no, I don't want to be against the Thoughtseize deck. But maybe you're right. With Veil of Summer now, these show and tell based decks might actually prefer playing against the decks where they could fire off Veil of Summer and really get a lot of value. Whereas decks like Kaplan's tend to run different disruptive spells like Stifle or Kaplan didn't have Stifle, but they tend to have different ways of disrupting you that Veil of Summer maybe isn't as relevant.
Well, it's always going to come down to usually who has enough mana to do things. But your play patterns, too, of if you're playing against a Veil deck and you're trying to fight over a relevant spell, being able to fight against the Veil with a Pierce, like you can only lead with Thoughtseize.
Yeah.
So it's like you really have to play your Thoughtseizes only in moments like this where there isn't a green mana on the table.
This is true.
And I think Roland is very much aware of that, knowing the deck list and knowing that he's going up against Sneak or OmniTell this round. That he's got to, like, let's say he had a Delver or a Thoughtseize here, and your opponent just went Island and you Island Ponder in the dark, right?
Yep.
Like if you were blind, you could be like, well, Island Ponder could be a multitude of decks. I probably want to get this Delver down. But if you know it's specifically OmniTell, then you're like, yes, I'm going to Thoughtseize now to not die potentially, but also get around knowing that there's no way that I'm going to get veiled immediately.
I think if that were the case and I didn't know what my opponent was on, I'm on the draw. They go Island Ponder, pass. I think I would go Underground Sea Thoughtseize. And what the hell's going on here? I want to know before I make any further moves. I think that would be how I would approach it.
If you had the option of going on the draw, Underground Sea Thoughtseize or Underground Sea Delver, if your opponent went Island Ponder, you are always going Thoughtseize there?
I think so, yeah. I would. You can then attack a counterbalance or a show and tell or the storm stuff. Like there's plenty of stuff that's Island Ponder, and it's risky in my view to just go Delver. Hope this goes well, And if you get wrecked by Thoughtseizing and it's a Delver deck and they just have a bunch of cantrips in their hand, so be it.
Yeah, okay, so let's say it was, you think that the risk is worth the reward of if you just clip like a blue-red Delver player who went Island Ponder, that equity, that lost equity is worth it for the equity gained on catching it in a good matchup.
Yeah, and Luanil in chat saying Thoughtseizing in that position is great because you conceal your own deck. And that's so true, but I was thinking about it in this particular scenario where Roland's deck is known. But if my deck is not known also, definitely firing off Thoughtseize there. Definitely.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a Daze on an Uro.
Daze on an Uro? Pretty good.
Yeah, so an Arcanist came down for Roland. He dazed an Uro, and this has got to be the exact position that he wants to be in. He knows the contents of his opponent's hand. He's getting to ponder twice this turn before deciding if he wants to do anything else. I mean, positionally right now, it's really, really strong for Roland.
I agree. I mean, Jesse's hand did not have any combo cards. He just had a defensive card, Defense Grid.
How do you feel about Uro in a deck like OmniTell?
Well, Jesse's trying to be like a mid-rangey deck with, oops, I won with OmniTell, and it's kind of not as all in as typical sneak and show decks usually are.
Is it?
I like it.
I mean, I see like his deck seems like entirely OmniTell, but instead of what I think was like a couple of Ice Fang Nakados previously, he's on Uro.
Oh, did he have Ice Fang in this deck? I don't remember that.
No, no, I'm saying that like blue-green OmniTell decks were playing Ice Fangs as like ways to help
Oh, I see.
cure the Delver matchup,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
he made them Uros instead.
Yeah.
But I feel like I feel like his list is more or less all in on the trying to move all in on the combo because he's got defense grids.
You might be right. Yeah,
You don't play defense grid if you don't mean it.
that's true. Um, Pretty cool what happened here too, reinforcing the turn one Thoughtseize play being correct. He managed to drop a Dreadhorde, and then on third turn, flash it back, hit Emrakul, shuffling away Uro. Just seems so good for Roland. Roland's got advantage
Yeah,
here.
I like the brew. I like the flex on Uro over something like Ice Fang, but
Yeah.
I also feel like it's out of place.
Yeah. Also, I mean, if you watch last Wednesday's stream, Jesse went all the way to round 3 from round 1. He wasn't in round 2 last week, but from round 1 to round 3 on Nick Fit Reanimator, he just kind of jammed a bunch of random spells together, and it worked. So I think he's on the plan of like being very difficult to be sideboarded against and catching people off guard with different combos and um,
Oh yeah, I
just
mean
trying to, yeah,
I'm all for like flexing towards Uro. I think like the thing that's catching me in this deck list, like the discrepancy that I'm getting caught with is um, the defense grids with the Uros.
yeah.
It seems like they're just on two different tracks, right? Because defense grid doesn't help the Titan, and the Titan doesn't help the defense grid.
I agree. Yeah, you're right.
And so it's like if you open both, it's kind of putting you down two different paths. But if like those defense grids were like Fluster Storms or Spell Pierces, like okay, well if you're trading a bunch and then you just get to leverage your graveyard by having an Uro, that seems good.
Yeah. I guess I see it similar to how he played Nick Fit Reanimator. He's just trying to do two different things at once and hope you can't handle both at once, you know?
Oh yeah, I mean I can definitely get behind the experimentation for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What do you think about the 2-2 split on Ancient Tomb and City of Traders? Is that stock?
Is it stock?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
I don't know. I have no idea. It looks weird, but what do I know?
I mean, I get that, multiple cities of traders are going to have diminishing returns as are Ancient Tombs, so I guess a 2-2 split does make sense in a vacuum.
I mean, I guess if he's imagining that his round 1 and 2 opponents, round 2 opponents might be playing Delver decks, he's trying to like save some life by running cities instead of tombs, or the other way around.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
Okay, so this game again, we're seeing pretty much how like this Delver deck for Roland has, I guess, found its bread and butter play pattern, which is just like stick an Arcanist and then just fight over everything else.
Yeah.
And then as long as you're trading, it doesn't matter because you're gonna win that game because Arcanist is going up cards.
This is true. Arcanist is, when we were talking about last round, the different options for creatures in Delver decks, Dreadhorde is just the most important card in the deck. It's become, in some ways, more important than Delver in a lot of matches. It's more important than Delver here, if assuming the Delver didn't flip. If the Delver didn't flip, this would be just a sad, boring game for Roland. Obviously, Insectile Aberration is a faster clock, but Dreadhorde doing work.
So he had Preordained, immediately threw those two cards that he didn't want down to the bottom. Plays an Underground Sea past the turn. Jesse is getting himself a second Forest. It's just so crazy, right? Like the Arcanist has put him up 3 cards so far.
At
think it's
least,
3.
yeah.
I think it's 3. But it's just like if you're in Jesse's spot, like you just have to have a Veil of Summer backup plus, like, and then some, right? Like this is a position where it's like, okay, you Eureka or Show and Tell plus. I mean, he's going to start with a defense grid, so like that's functionally going to do the same thing. It's going to demand a counterspell from Roland.
The defense grid, I mean, it makes things very difficult for Roland for sure.
I mean, if he he doesn't have the kill, he lets the defense grid resolve, and then Jesse doesn't have the kill. But now Roland is pretty much incentivized to just always be leaving up that 3 mana, assuming he doesn't get another look off another Thoughtseize. But it's just so tough to be thinking, okay, let's Thoughtseize in the face of green mana. Like,
yeah,
Veil of Summer just makes those cards so laughable if that exchange happens, you know.
I'm actually looking at Jesse's list. There are no Veil of Summers. Oh wait, there are. There are 3.
Yeah, he's playing 3 in the main, 1 in the board for Cunning Wish.
Yep, my bad. I missed it for a moment.
No, Veil of Summer is the whole reason to go into green for OmniTell. I get you get Eureka, but like, who really cares? You want Veil of Summer.
Rockman saying can't Veil anymore with Grid in play. He has enough mana too, right? Isn't it 2 mana?
No. Grid is 3 mana. So like.
Okay, my mistake.
Like, if
Yep. I thought it was 2.
So Roland's going to play proactive. He's going to just bounce the defense grid.
Main phase bounce it. Okay.
I like the showcase art.
And there's the Thoughtseize. So he.
Ooh.
It worked.
That's so interesting to play the Brazen Borrower first, because that opens up a Veil of Summer line. You know what I mean? Like, he could have Thoughtseized, but I guess he specifically wanted to Thoughtseize the defense grid. Is his thinking there?
So is there a better way to do this? Is Thoughtseizing hold priority bounce defense grid better? No.
No, I
is
like, essentially if I think the only reason to do it the way that he did is because he specifically wants to catch the defense grid with the Thoughtseize. Because otherwise, like, you're asking to get blown out by a Veil there, right? Like, if you bounce the defense grid, Thoughtseize get veiled, and then they just go untap, slam defense grid, kill you. Like, oof, that looks really bad in hindsight. But if you're like, I need to get this defense grid off the table for how my hand lines up, then I can understand, you know, taking the risky line, because you're going to be dead to if you feel like you're going to be dead to a defense grid anyway, then it's going to be the same thing of getting blown out, right? You're going to take a loss. So, I mean, it's what ends up happening. He takes the defense grid, and now he's following up. So, super risky line. It ended up working out, but it's
it was risky.
That would put me on edge.
So, Cunning Wish and Omniscience in Jesse's hand. What are we worried about him catching from Cunning Wish here?
Well, it's kind of interesting that Cunning Wish is nowhere near as good, in that Roland can just like double check deck lists and know exactly what the possibilities are.
Yeah.
And in that position, he's like looking. There isn't anything proactive that he can get that would be relevant with an Omniscience in hand, right?
All right, he's casting Show and Tell, so he drew that right away, but it's getting Force of Willed.
I guess you do have to jam there. You know that his hand is Omniscience Cunning Wish, so that would just be a kill.
True. Yeah, I don't think there's any reason to let that resolve.
It's 1 damage a turn, but that Arcanist just like, it is so much pressure to be like, I'm going to wait until I can get my defenses set up again, right? Find a Veil or a Counterspell or another grid. But the clock, even though it's only 1 damage a turn, is so bad because he just gets to cast an additional cantrip by passing the turn. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, he's dropping 2 more dudes. Omniscience taken out by the flashback Thoughtseize is pretty good too. So now he just has Cunning Wish and Unknown card. Even if he draws a Show and Tell or Eureka or whatever, nothing to drop.
Well, he can end step Cunning Wish.
Yep.
Get a Shifting Ceratops.
That doesn't work.
Okay, you can't do that. Okay.
All right, so a Flip Delver. This clock is about to get a lot faster now.
just like super ABC Arcanist game, right?
Bolt.
Like stick an Arcanist, run back 7
Wow,
cantrips.
double bolt. Oh, this game is over.
Yeah, this game's over.
Oh, before combat, something's gonna happen here. Cutting Wish. Can you get anything relevant?
Yeah, he can get an Echoing Truth and bounce the Arcanists.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, Roland must have an answer, right? He knows what's in this.
He's either got to or he wasn't. He forgot about it. But it would be very good if he for Jesse if he forgot about it because he also cut himself off red.
Oh man, he forgot about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot about it too, but I'm not playing. Attack for 3.
Yeah. So that Echoing Truth gets a little bit extra equity because Roland tapped out of red.
Yeah.
But Jesse's hand is pretty anemic, so he's going to need what Thoughtseize or not? Sorry, I'm sorry. Show and Tell plus Grizzlebrand exactly.
Yeah. Even that might not be enough, though. If Roland has Dreadhordes. We'll see.
Well, I mean,
Brainstorm here.
if he got to untap, it would be huge, right? But I mean,
Right.
a Brave Bar would deal with that line. Any counterspell would deal with that line.
Right.
I mean, how many cards does Roland have in his hand at this point? Probably like 12.
I'm not sure. Brainstorm in the yard. Now.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that like Jesse is playing with Uro instead of Ice Fang in like that like extra creature deal with aggro slot, but he's still playing snow covered basics.
That's true. He has no relevant cards to check the snow-covered part of
But
it.
also he can't like pump fake because it's open deck list.
Nah, maybe he likes it.
Maybe he likes it. Man, snow covered lands with Tropical Island is a nombo though.
Yeah. I think Roland got this one. Yep.
Any of the cantrips, because I
Sure.
think
Yeah.
Roland's best way to win the game is trying to find the play pattern that he found last game, which is just being an Arcanist control deck, right?
Yeah.
Like outside of a fast Delver, but he's on the draw. So he's going to want to have more of his earlier interaction than, like I could also see a world where he just leans really hard on either an Arcanist or a Young Pyromancer control game.
Pokimoki points out, and thanks for the follow, I like keeping Wastelands since OmniTell often brings in Boseiju. Yeah, I would not advise on taking out all 4 Wastelands. Also, it's open deck lists, and there is no Boseiju, yeah.
He knows that there's no Boseiju.
Yeah,
in
he
the
knows.
blind, I would agree with Pokimoki on if you were in the dark, I could totally see respecting Boseiju.
Yeah. Thoughtseize start the game, but it's going to get veiled. Let's see if that gets dazed. It does. So a good start to the game for Roland.
Yeah.
And these are the kind of starts to the game that Delver decks want to get. Ooh, show and tell. He did bring in Hex Drinker, so we were wrong about that.
He brought it in. I was wrong. Maybe that's just like actually a good flex on Jesse's side. If he assumes that Roland is going to board out some number of bolts, if not all of them, because he doesn't think he's going to bring in the Hex Drinkers, then he can parry him and bring in the Hex Drinkers to dodge that.
Yep.
That's a fun cat and mouse game, right? In open deck lists, at least, because Roland really doesn't want to be keeping in bolts, and it's possible that a Hex Drinker could sneak in there in a game 2 position like this.
Hex Drinker is being a little cute, but it. What's that line from Dodgeball or something? Like, let's see if it pays off.
Oh yeah.
What's that line?
Bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
Yeah. That's exactly how I feel right now. And Jube Ninja, thanks for pointing out. Yes, Young Pyromancer is in Jumpstart. We got another bingo square. Perfect. So if we get a bingo tonight, we're going to decide on tonight's stream what format we're going to play on Monday. So everybody pay very careful attention to the bingo card, please.
Are you surprised that Young Pyromancer has still never gotten a different artwork?
Oh yeah, it hasn't.
It's been
No.
reprinted 5 times.
Yeah, that's true. It's just so classic, I guess.
It's just a homie with his goggles.
Yeah, yeah. I love Young Pyromancer. That's one of my favorite cards. I saw they put it in Jumpstart and now it's on Arena. I have not used it yet on Arena because I haven't been playing much, but eventually I will be excited to try it.
Uh, Odd fact: I have 5 altered young pyromancers, not because I want 5, but because I acquired one when I started doing trying to get a set, and then I found a good deal on a set.
Nice.
So I just randomly have a 5th altered young pyromancer.
You could put it up as a prize if someone beats you in the
There
championship.
we go. Yeah, that'll be our championship belt. Instead, it'll just be an altered piece.
Yeah. The winner will just be like, "Oh, thanks, guys.
We'll have the young pyromancer tournament. Yeah.
Thanks. I have one altered young pyromancer now." What would you do, Phil? What would you do if you sat down to play with someone, and they had some staple card in their deck, like Young Pyromancer, and they played it and it was an alter, and then they played another one that wasn't altered? Would you like short circuit, and how would you feel?
So I can respect the process. Right? Now, if somebody did that, and then looked me dead in the eye and proactively said, "I'm not getting this one altered," then maybe I would short circuit. But as somebody who still has a bunch of alters that or a bunch of cards not altered that I would like to get altered, but I've just allocating Magic budget towards like the new powerful cards that we need to acquire to play. I can understand not having your entire playable collection altered yet.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, if somebody just wanted to really just mess with me and get in my head immediately, yeah, play an altered version, and then play like the worst artwork version of the same card, and just be like, this is gonna stay like this forever.
Back to
Yeah.
business for a moment. Brainstorm here gets Power Blasted, and I really like that play, but it gets Flusterstormed with a Forest somehow? Did I miss
Green
something?
mana? Oh, looks
Oh.
like he forgot that green mana is not blue mana.
Let's try to move into players.
He's gonna force instead pitching an impulse. I think he just
Okay. Just a break right there? Yeah.
all the talk about short circuiting. I think he just didn't realize that force doesn't tap for blue.
Yeah. All right. So a force on Power Blast. And this is why you want to do that. Force targeting force. If you're paying attention to the bingo card, let me know if we hit that box.
Yo, if Jesse slams a Veil of Summer right now and just totally baited Roland into this force on force action off that Flusterstorm, oh, please do it.
Nah, he just used it to level up. He just used it to level up.
Oh, we were so close, boys.
So force on force to stop a brainstorm. I might have not have gone that far. I might have just said Power Blast it. Okay, you forced me back. That's nice. I'll keep my force for your next big threat and let you brainstorm. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, I think if it depends on what Roland's setup looks like right now. If he wants to line up resources, like if he's flushed with interaction and he wants to be able to use his mana effectively,
Yeah, that's true.
that's possible. For a real hot second right there, I thought Jesse pump faked that Flusterstorm to catch him with a Veil,
Yeah.
and I was like, we're hanging it up. We're giving him the trophy. Like, sorry, Alan, I get you're the champion, but if he pump faked, if he baited a fourth battle to walk into a Veil by showing him a Flusterstorm that he couldn't cast because he had Forest in play, that would be the greatest line I've ever seen in my life.
And this
No-
is why I would have
ever
kept
thought
my
that.
force if I was Roland, because now there's a defense grid in play. But I agree with you. If he would have done that, I would have told Alan, that's it, you're no longer the champion.
Like, I'm satisfied just thinking about that line potentially happening.
It would have been fun.
So a Thoughtseize.
He's going to get a Uro or a Flusterstorm. I assume he takes Flusterstorm here.
Yeah, no, he's taking
Oh,
the
he
Uro.
takes Uro, okay.
He's stuck on 3 mana. I mean, or on 2 mana. So it's like The Flusterstorm you can play around. Also, the Flusterstorm is going to be pretty much naked because Roland can't cast anything with a defense grid on the table.
Yep.
And so let's say Jesse draws a land, the Uro is just way more valuable there, right? So
I guess that's right.
the Uro's got a long way to go before it's relevant.
The Fluster, you mean, yeah.
No. I mean, the Fluster is blank because of the defense grid. And the Uro has a long way to go because instead of it being in his hand where he only needs one drop to cash it in for a card, now he's a blue and green mana away.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. You're
So,
right.
like, the Uro actually has text where the Flusterstorm no longer does.
Right. That's a good point.
So we're also catching what we had mentioned before, the play pattern of just being like, okay, exchange, have this Arcanist, 1 damage a turn while I cantrip multiple times, is likely going to be what runs away, barring some fortunate top decks. It's like very interesting that Roland's list, just the Grixis Delver list, leans really heavily on your best position should just be exchanging with Arcanist.
Another Thoughtseize takes a show and tell. Pretty damn good.
You just leave that Fluster. Yeah, you ponder.
You think Roland has this?
Oh, yeah. I think this game is over now. I think between... So, Jesse's lines to win are he's cut on all axes, right? He's bottlenecked on mana. He's bottlenecked on action. He needs everything. So he needs a land. He needs another show and tell, and he needs a threat that is specifically not omniscience, in which case he needs an additional card.
Yeah.
So he is so far away. It looks like we lost Roland for a second.
Yep, I think we did.
I don't see how he gets back in this game. Like if he goes land, and then flashes back Uro, and somehow it sticks, and then he can check the Arcanist by doing so, like maybe. But that's a tall order.
It looks like something's happening now. They're continuing. Sorry about the delay, everybody.
I think the game really does come down to like, Arcanist just ran away with it, but the major fight, normally the big battle happens over a show and tell, right? Like players are doing stuff, they're jockeying for position, and then there's just fireworks over the spell that matters, which usually is show and tell. In this game, it just happened to be Brainstorm.
So a lightning bolt to the face there. Surprised lightning bolts are even still in.
My guess is he didn't have enough to board out.
It's possible. So he's going to sequence Thoughtseize and Bolt in some way. And Thoughtseize sees Emrakul and Flusterstorm. I guess you take Emrakul and make him shuffle his Uros away?
So you take Emrakul because it's one half of a way that he loses, right? Which is a show and tell off the top.
Yep.
The Fluster is just blank, like
yep.
With a defense grid on the table, it is not a relevant piece of cardboard.
Nope. Neither was that lightning bolt, but it's looking like speeding up the clock just that little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
if
you can't flash back the Thoughtseize, I guess you just flash back a lava spike.
Yeah, basically. Another bolt now.
I guess he left in all of the bolts.
All right.
Because he's
Roland got it.
That'll do it.